So you've heard a lot about the different programs and the way they're making things work, and that's wonderful. And you may have noticed through the whole presentations that there are many of us that have a background in sports in some way, whether it be sports production or, in my case, about 25 years in sports journalism, just across the way over here at CNN. And I like to say back when CNN used to do sports. But what I want to talk a little bit about today is something that I am requesting of you. Whether you are a student sitting here in the audience, whether you are a faculty member, whether you are somebody who works in an athletic department who works with students. We know that a great amount of time is spent on live event production every year. This was Suzy's fun with PowerPoint. There's tons of hours of live event programming that we see on television, on different delivery devices every year, and that's awesome. But my request of you is don't forget the journalism, okay? In all of this, there is journalism. Whether you are an announcer sitting behind the play-by-play mic, whether you are the producer producing the live event, whether you are the person operating the camera, there is journalism involved in this. If you don't believe me, Google the top sports stories for the last year or the last 2 years or the last decade. Yes, the Chicago Cubs ending their drought and winning the World Series will be right at the top. But about 70% of the top stories will be things that are related to off-the-field matters that come back into play when you're doing live event production. Who can forget Deflategate? How much did we hear about that in live event? Who can forget Ryan Lochte at the Olympic unglory that he had? Again, my fun with PowerPoint here. Or the Chicago Cubs and a lot of talk of domestic abuse. And the ever-popular substance abuse that we see year in and year out. And I haven't even touched on the NFL and concussion issues, or the NHL and concussion issues. These are stories that we see time and time again, and they have to be dealt with in live event. They can't just be forgotten. So you have to make sure that students coming out of these programs, Ball State Sports Link included, Lynn University, University of South Carolina, North Florida, and High Point, have as much training in the journalism aspect of it as they do in the live event production aspect of it. So how do you do that? Well, I can only talk to you through the experience that we've done at Ball State. And some of the ways that we're doing is creating some, what I like to call one-off courses. Courses that may not be ingrained in your curriculum. Denise referred to them as like variable content courses. And we have some that I have helped create, one that I do every other year where I take students down to spring training. Now, they're not doing live event, but they're doing something sports related, and they're doing it in a journalistic manner. I've done stuff with high school basketball in Indiana. We just finished a short one where I took students down to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we covered, we were just down there on practice days, but we're doing stories with that. You can do it with something like SportsLink that Chris and Alex and John and Brad, not John, sorry. I knew a John Daly, sorry Brad Daly. Where you offer a concentration within your major, okay? And that is using some courses that already exist, or creating some courses, or maybe creating a separate section of a course that is sports related in and of itself. Or you could do something like what we're doing, because SportsLink is a little bit, or is very selective, not just a little bit, but very selective. We listened to our students and said, there's still a need for more sports at our university. And at least to get things started, we're taking an existing interdisciplinary minor, and we're recreating it to fit the needs that we have as a minor for us. I hope that all of this stuff turns into majors, and a lot more students in our in our area. I hope that some of the things that we've talked about here will help all of you. But that's just a little bit of how I want you to try to remember that journalism in and of itself is always at the core of this. So thank you.